People of the internet, welcome to the Rebel Label podcast. As always, my name is Arii.Grove. Today I have with me
Heroic T.
Perfect. So tell the people, what do you do?
I rap, I make hip hop music, I produce, I do a little bit of mixing and mastering too.
Hey, there you go. So where are you from?
I'm from Portland. I grew up kind of over by like 122nd in Burnside. Some people tell me that's Gresham, but I at least would say if you ain't at least to Rockwood, I would still consider it Portland myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. So what made you get into hip hop? Like, what was the thing for you? Was it an artist, or was it like I have a message to say? Like, what was it?
So I've always been a writer. I remember as a little kid, I always wrote stories. Even in the 4th grade, I was the only kid in the state to get a perfect state writing test.
So you smart and shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty
just fucking
smart.
with you. You're good.
I'd say I'm pretty smart, but I think that intelligence is something that's very, it's viewed in a lot of different ways, and being book smart doesn't make you intelligent. Being able to do good on a test does not make someone intelligent.
Because the thing is like what I saw in school growing up is some of the fucking dumbest kids I've ever seen in my life were the kids that aced the tests.
Straight
You know
A's
what I mean?
and shit.
Yeah, it's like, motherfucker, you can't even have a conversation with me, let alone that's something I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, trying to segue that into hip hop music. It's like sometimes I feel like the biggest pop artists or something like that are maybe not the people with the message, but they're the people that are able to ace the test.
I feel that.
And I feel like that's something that somebody like you that maybe wants to spit more like lyrical shit or, raw bars or something like that, that's something you got to balance out with is like, I want people to listen to me. So am I going to have to cater to the more masses, or do I keep my shit where it's just my tight circle? Is that something you think about?
Yeah, definitely. I want to be able to make music that's unique and that people enjoy at the same time. I think right now what you see is a lot of artists trying to make music that's, just like this artist or just like this artist. Right now you got a lot of people that are rapping like from the back of their throat because Kendrick blew up.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think everybody needs to do their own thing. I would say I am definitely influenced by certain artists. Like you said, why I started rapping. So it really got me into actually rapping and working on hip hop music. I'd say Mac Miller, R.I.P. is one of my biggest influences. Especially when he, because actually I had heard about Mac Miller a lot, like when I was in high school and stuff, and I always was like, with like the Blue Slide Park stuff and the kids stuff and all that. Like I thought it was all right, but when he dropped that Macadelic project, and it was just like the super dark, and he's talking about his like own problems that he's going through and like whatnot, like that's what I do a lot on the track. A lot of my songs that I make are like venting or just talking about personal struggles and things that I go through in life. Absolutely.
And something that was awesome to see for Mac Miller was like, I was with him in those kids days. I liked those mixtapes. And then we came out with Faces and all that stuff.
Faces is my favorite mixtape of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And like the surprising thing is like when people talk about Mac Miller, they don't really talk about Faces. But I feel like that, to me, that was my favorite, classic album.
Yeah, the jazz samples and everything,
yeah,
bro. It's so good.
Exactly. And, you talked a little bit about Kendrick. Is Kendrick one of those artists that you like look up to and like a lot?
I do like Kendrick a lot. I do think that I guess my only downside to Kendrick, I would say, is that he claims to create what'd he say? I mixed the jazz music with the trap fusion or the jazz fusion with the trap music, which I do feel like Mac Miller did before he did. But that's, kind of... Everybody's
always, I swear to God, in hip-hop, like, whether it's, like, the Raider Clan and A$AP Mob arguing about who did that goth emo
really,
shit
somebody
first.
else did it before both of them a long time ago
exactly.
anyways.
Yeah, it's like the fucking throughout mankind, people be like, nah, motherfucker, I ate that apple first. Like, that was my fucking idea. Like, man, get the fuck out of here. Nothing is new. You know what I mean? Like, that's my kind of shit. But, something we were talking a little bit about before is like being emotional in hip hop. you know, because I feel like, at least for me, what the core of hip hop, especially growing up, meant was like listening to Biggie, you know, listening to all those people like Nas, you know, all those people talk real about their lives. And even though I'm not in the fucking streets like that shit, I could relate to those raw emotions. And is that something that you think about? Is I got to talk about my real life? And is that something that you're maybe looking at other artists a little bit more critically?
I definitely say that. Yeah, I like to talk about my life, things that I've been through, and if I'm talking about something else, I like to I don't know, make it very obvious that I'm talking from a different point of view. It's one example. I got a song called "What Have I Done," where it's about a kid who, like, he's tired of getting bullied and shit, so he decides he's gonna get a gun and act like he's the hardest motherfucker. He kills some people. Then he's like, you know, what have I done? Like freaking out about it type shit. He like breaks down thinking about the people's families and stuff at the end. Like, it's a concept thing. It's not about what I've been through, but then again, like, almost writing the story, I felt like I could relate with it, if that makes any sense.
No, I can absolutely relate to that. You know, because me and my personal music, like this album that I'm working on, I write a bunch of stories that people have told me, you know, like stuff that I've heard from people over the years, because that's the stuff that I can relate to, even though I haven't directly
Yeah, I
gone
think
through
it sucks
you know?
when people tell me if you haven't been through something, you can't relate with it, because it's like, I mean, maybe for some people that's true.
Yeah.
But I feel like some people are a lot better at really sitting there and feeling the emotion that someone else is portraying, and, you know, or put in the sense like putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you talked a little bit about like bullying in that one song. Is that something that you've personally experienced, like getting bullied and like having that? And
I have, honestly, I've been bullied more recently than in the past, but I would say, like, I've never really let that phase me. I tend to, even at school, like, I would bully the kids who would bully the defenseless kids. So, like, I would more, like, if somebody thought that they were the shit, like, I might try to take them a notch down, but it's more like I saw them picking on a little, like, I wouldn't just go out of my way just to mess with somebody like that.
do you think that bullying somebody that bullies other people just makes you as bad as that initial bully in the first place? Or is that something like you do feel that you're earnestly doing that initial person justice? You know, because some at least that I think about it in that sort of thing is like, where does the cycle end? You know, it's like somebody that beats their kids probably gonna grow up and beat their kids, you know, as this sort of like penance for that,
Yeah.
you know? And is that something that you think about? Like, is the solution to stop bullying, and I'm not just talking like in schools and all that shit, but in general, to bully the bullies, or is it through understanding, love, and like compassion?
I would say that the best solution is definitely through understanding, love, and compassion. But then too, I would say the bullying too, it wouldn't be the extent of the way that the other people would, like, so say that you got this big dude who's picking on this little kid, like pushing and stuff, or like making jokes about him, everybody's laughing. Like, I'm the kid who's gonna walk up and just crack a joke about the dude who's cracking jokes.
Yeah.
So
Diffuse the situation.
yeah, it's
No, absolutely.
more like that than like really go in there and just start swinging on somebody.
Start
or
throwing hands.
Not like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you talked a little bit about being bullied more recently. Is that something you can elaborate on a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously probably a big reason I'm even sitting in this chair right now. I dropped a diss track recently. It was called Pillsbury Capes. It was at Mike Capes and Swiggle Mandela.
You didn't need too many like croissants from the Pillsbury Doughboy. I was like, fuck that company. That wasn't it. I thought that was the whole thing.
No.
I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, no, come on.
So yeah, I put that out. There's been a lot of speculation from people that are telling me why I put it out and whatnot. But
So why did you drop the track then? Well, what was like the spark?
all right, so initially, it's actually kind of like what I was saying about me tending to jump in and help the kids who's getting bullied. Like, I saw on a post, everybody had like 200 comments or something, and I'm like, well, what's this about? So like, I go look at it. And everybody's ragging on this kid, telling him that because he's white, he's never seen any sort of struggle in his life. Because I will agree with everybody on. I went back and saw what the original post was about later. And like, so yeah, the post was about white people like it's their duty to get rid of the system of oppression that's in place. And I believe in the system of oppression and all of that. Like, I know that that's a thing. All I was trying to say in the instance, like when everyone was making fun of this kid, telling him he's never seen anything, is that everyone, like, I wasn't even talking about that, but I was just saying everyone has problems. Yeah, everyone has struggle in their life. And then that got twisted into, I'm trying to equate black people and white people's struggle in America and all this other stuff, which is something that I never said, but that's where Mike Cates jumped in and started saying a bunch of stuff, laughing at the stuff that I was saying. What'd he post? He put white nonsense roundup or something, like right underneath my comment. So then I just said something which was a personal opinion about his music and about his bars, which I think kind of basic, a little bit reminiscent of J. Cole's older stuff, which I didn't like back then either. Like, I wasn't a fan of J. Cole until Forest Hills Drive came out. I didn't think that the stuff was very creative, but that's a whole different point. Anyways, so yeah, and then after that, he started trolling my Instagram page, just commenting random stuff, like trash, like stuff like that. So I decided, if this guy's got so much time on his hands, he's supposed to be one of the biggest rappers in the city, I'm going to, I'll come at him right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I also dissed Swiggle Mandela on the track.
And why was that? Why'd you decide to diss Swiggle along with?
And I dissed Swiggle just because we had literally, so the night before the track dropped, I got in a little debate with Swiggle where, like, eventually he told me, he said to diss him. He said, "You won't mention my name in a song, though. You won't blah, 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 blah." And then I'm just like, all right, well, I will. I'll drop it in the morning. Like, so yeah, that's how that kind of all originated.
And then Swiggle had that live and stuff too, right? What's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I think that if you're gonna ask somebody to diss you, and then you're gonna spend all day promoting their diss track, you should probably come back with something that's actually similar, at least on somewhere close to the same level. Like making a joke live where you're talking about me for an hour straight after you've already been talking about me all day, like, doesn't seem like the greatest idea. Yeah. I also think it's kind of that everybody just got so upset about it. To me, it's just kind of funny because I feel like, I don't know, I've always loved the battle rap sort of like part of hip hop. Yeah. Exactly, the competitive side. I've always said if someone were to diss me, I would be excited. I would be thrilled. I would just want to go right back at them just for the sport of it.
Yeah, so you're trying to promote like good competitive hip hop, like raw bars and all that shit. Is that sort of like the wave you're trying to be on?
Yeah.
So, with you trying to be about that shit, what is your opinion on rap nowadays? Do you feel that a lot of substance has been taken out of it, or are you confident in where hip hop is going currently?
I think that there's definitely artists that are trying to take it in the right direction, but I'd say the overall wave, like Tekashi 6ix9ine, is one of the biggest artists in the world right now. That's the problem.
Just to play devil's advocate, like, when I look at somebody like Tekashi 9, I'm definitely don't listen to his music. That's not my shit. But I look at him not really as like a rapper's rapper and just some pop shit, and I mean, to me, that shit, not even to me, that's just history. That has existed since the beginning of rap. You know what I mean? Like, hip-hop started because there was a bunch of dudes having a fucking party, and some guy was like, oh, shit, these drum breaks sound tight if I just loop the shit out of them. You know what I mean? And it was to rock a party. you know. So I don't particularly get mad at all that stuff, but what I want is equal representation.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's like one of my favorite artists, Dizzy Wright. He talks about on one of his songs how like he's looking at his YouTube views and then he sees that like, you know, he thinks of himself as a conscious rapper and like that he is definitely. That's most of the stuff that he talks about and whatnot. But then he looks at his YouTube views and sees what songs are getting the most plays and stuff, and he's like trash. Not that he's calling his own music trash or anything, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. You know, it's always that dynamic, like for attention or for, you know, whatever. But, you know, it's like hip hop is going through this insane growth period right now where it's like hip hop is now the most popular genre of music in not only the United States but all over the world. Hip hop is now the new rock and roll, you know, because it's like motherfuckers back when rock was popular were like, oh, real rock and roll is dead.
this and-
Motherfuckers
yeah,
aren't
yeah.
playing Chuck Berry ass music anymore, you know, and motherfuckers are just playing death metal and trying to scream and eat fucking doves and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, stuff is just evolving, you know, and like our responsibility as artists is to make the culture what we would like it to be, whether it's, you know, your raw emotional hip hop, for me just on some singing shit, you know what I mean? And like that's something for me why I never really like hate on other artists that are trying to do that pop stuff, is because I listen to that shit, you know what I mean? I like Playboy Cardi and all them.
So that
and
is
all the
one thing
mumble
too, though. I've
rappers.
never listened to that shit or ever liked any of that shit.
Really, why is that?
So like growing up, I'm 24. So like growing up, I listened to a lot of like Eminem, The Game, 50 Cent, and like even okay, so like 50 Cent is actually a good example. So I like 50 because you could tell that he's pretty like emotional about the stuff that he talks about a lot of the time. In no way would I say 50 Cent has the lyrical ability as like The Game. Like I respect him a lot more as a rapper.
Similar to that is like DMX, you know, and DMX was popular. Like he was talking about like real struggles and shit, but at the same time, he had these, you know, massive songs with dogs barking and shit.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I wish the best on him and I hope he does well. But it's like, is that something that you think is possible nowadays? Is like people doing both like Kendrick does, or is that, you know?
Yeah, I
Like, what do
think
you
that
think about that?
I think Kendrick and J. Cole are both doing a good job of they're both doing a really good job of making sure that they're talking content and still delivering good bars. Which what I was saying about J. Cole before, I just felt like before he was all about content and shit, and that's always been very, you know, obvious that that's what he cares about.
Yeah.
He found a way to make the bars more complex, work on his rhyme schemes and whatnot, and become a better storyteller, like a more complete artist. And I will say that a lot of artists, especially around here, I think that they think that they have their craft and they just need to focus as a businessman. When realistically, I know that people say to make it big, you got to take it as a businessman before you take it as a musician. I will never do that, though. Like, I will always be a musician and an artist before I'm a businessman, because that's what I have love for. Like, in all honesty, hopefully I could hire a businessman eventually, but like,
Yeah.
and then not even have to do that. But like, I'll always be an artist before I'll be a businessman.
Both of those things are equally important. The business and the art are equally important, you know?
Yeah, and what I was getting at was like, so you got everybody thinking that they need to just be a businessman. Even J. Cole, like, he was pretty popular and shit, but he didn't take that next step to like top of the rap game where they see him at right now. He worked on his craft to get there. He didn't just keep trying to make hit song after hit song after hit song. You know?
Absolutely. So, you know, talking about like people want to be businessmen instead of rappers and shit like that, you know, specifically referring to the hip hop scene in Portland, what is your opinion on how to make the hip hop scene better in Portland then? What is more of a change that you would like to see?
People in Portland don't even know about the Portland hip hop scene. The average person that I went to school with doesn't know a single local rapper. So I don't know. I feel like Portland is almost especially compared to other big cities, even like Seattle, like Portland hip hop is nothing.
Yeah. And why do you, I
And
mean,
I think
like,
it's because people need to work on their craft and actually get better. They think that it's just that people sleep on Portland and whatnot.
mm-hmm.
But realistically, all of the artists who have the most hype around this city are not putting out the quality of music that artists that have hype in other big cities are.
Yeah. So do you think that the people that you were dissing should have just kept it in hip hop and actually challenged you on like an MC level?
I do. I think that promoting my music all day and complaining, having your, well, I'm not claiming that they had their fans do this, but like,
To give people some context, what was the fans' responses? Like, what was the people that are actually invested in the local hip hop scene? Like, what did they say about this beef?
they felt pretty disrespected. I've had even people that are in this scene that had told me that they wanted to work with me and whatnot, tell me that they can't now because there's too much going around my name, and like, I've been trying to work with this guy, or I've been trying to work with this guy, and I don't want to ruin that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a similar thing as people just looking for someone else to put them on instead of, because like these people that tell me like, oh, I've been trying to work with that guy, I'm like, well, I've never heard you listen to any of his songs. Like, I think a lot of people want to work with someone just because they have a lot of people around them, which I get. But as I said, I'm always going to be an artist before I'm a businessman. I'm going to work with artists that I think are dope. Regardless. Like, he might have no fans. I might be the only song he's even on. But like, if I think somebody's dope, I want to work with them.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It was crazy. A lot of people just made a lot of judgments on me. I don't know if it was based off what people said, because I know that people told me I dropped the song because I'm racist and a bunch of other crazy stuff. My inbox was just full of racial slurs. And then I posted, what did I post? I said on Facebook, you might have a lot more fans than me, but at least I know that like my fans would not fill your inbox with racial slurs if you diss me. And then I get all this stuff like, black people can't be racist and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, that's not even, I didn't say they were racist. I just said my inbox was full of racial slurs. And then even after I posted that, then they just kept coming like even like tenfold. It's ridiculous.
And is that something that like discourage you from actually playing more shows and like trying to get invested and change the scene and unite the scene to what you want it to be? Or is this something that pushes you even further to help strive for better?
Well, it's definitely pushing me further to strive for more, but also, yeah, like, I'm not ashamed to say Swiggle Mandela went out of his way to get me kicked off 2 of my shows. He's been trying to do his best to get me blacklisted from as many venues as possible. I think that shows a lot of immaturity, and if that's your response, obviously you were pretty upset about the track. Especially if that's your response and you're not going to respond. You're just going to talk about it all day.
Have any artists stepped up to come alongside of you?
They, in a sense, but they don't really. I mean, honestly, no, they didn't really step up. They just, in my inbox, say, oh, yeah, I fuck with what you're doing. I saw people tell me they like this song. I can look and see how many times they listen to my music, like, and all that. And then seeing the same people talking shit on Facebook. So I know that a lot of people just want to look good for whoever and whatnot, and that's cool. I'm never going to be that type of person, so I don't care.
Absolutely. And a lot of interesting stuff we talked about today, but I think a topic that you brushed on that would be interesting to discuss is the topic of minorities being racist or prejudiced you know, it's something that is talked a lot about in like classes, and I know I've had discussions about it in high school and all that shit, but I want to get your opinion on
Yeah.
it. Because, you know, that's something that is coming into your inbox. Do you believe that, you know, like Latin people, black people can be racist, or is that more a prejudice thing?
Well, I believe that there is, and in my song, this song No Love from the Gov, it's about how they want us separated by race and by pretty much in every way possible, really. But I'm honestly starting to see now it's not just our government, it goes past that. There's higher powers at play, but I think that they do want us separated, and they want us separated by race. They want us separated by gender, religion, like literally by age, any way possible. But oppression and racism are two different things, and I believe that those people are trying to put in this new definition of racism that's having everybody confused. Everybody is actually agreeing with the same ideas, and they're disagreeing on the words being used.
Mm-hmm.
Because they say, oh, you can't be racist. Racist is a system of it's like, no. Systematic racism is what you were talking about, which is definitely a thing. And systematic racism and oppression are almost like side by side. Those are the same. Where prejudice and just racism, hating someone because of their race, it's also a thing. And it doesn't, if you are one race and hate every other race, I don't care which race you are racist. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah. So would you consider yourself like a conspiracy theorist? Like, do you believe that 9/11 was an inside job or any of that stuff?
I think conspiracy theorist is another, like, I guess I would. I think that conspiracy theorist, though, like, that word gets a negative connotation for no reason. Because it's a theory of conspiracy. Like, but then he's just a conspiracy theorist. It's like, he has a theory of something going on behind the scenes, which makes him crazy. Like,
yeah. Do you believe there's gatekeeping in the Portland hip hop scene?
in a sense, I think you have the same, you got like the same guys that get all this love. To be honest, I think that they spend a lot of their time promoting people that they know aren't going to be or don't have the drive that they do, or that they see as less talented than them, just so their friends can, when they see other local artists, like, oh, well, yeah, my dude's still the best. My dude's still the best type thing. When, yeah, there's like a lot of super, super dope artists that I know these guys know personally, that they sweep under the rug. Or they'll say something about them in person, but then like there's no action to it. One of my best friends, Swiggle, said he was the future of Portland hip hop. He hasn't reposted a single one of his songs ever.
Do you believe there was some alternative motivation to saying it was the...
I believe there definitely was. Yeah, and that's as far as I'll go there. But I know Swiggle, if he hears this, will know who I'm talking about, and he will know why he said that. And there was personal gain that he got from it almost instantly.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end on. Covered a lot of different topics today. I appreciate you coming on here telling your story.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
You know, and something that I want to just say about this podcast and anybody watching it is what this podcast is about is covering local topics. We are Democrats. We will talk to anyone. We will have a conversation with anyone. We don't choose sides. We don't condone, you know, whatever views or opinions people talk about. All we are trying to do is tell those stories that do not get media coverage. And if that's something that you have a story to tell in your local Portland hip-hop scene, please reach out to me. My name is Arii.Grove at Arii.Grove on Instagram. My DMs are always open. My telephone number is on fucking social media. You can call me at 3 a.m. I'll pick up, motherfucker. Do it. All right? Thank you for watching today. I greatly appreciate your support. And plug what you want to plug.
Cool. So, No Love from the Gov is my biggest... I'll look at the camera for this part. No Love from the Gov is my biggest song that I got right now. It's got like 42,000 views on YouTube right now. Check that out. I've got Polarity Part 2 that's about to drop in 4 days. So that'll be, what's that, December 2nd? Yeah, December 2nd that'll drop.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for being on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Cool.
No.